Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Precious Metals Summit is brought to you by Nucor Gold.
Are junior gold stocks on the verge of lighting the blue touch paper? I'm Paul Harris for Kitco Mining here at the 2024 Precious Metals Summit in Beaver Creek, Colorado. Joining me today to help answer that question is John Feneck, founder of Feneck Consulting. John, welcome back to Kitco.
Thanks for having me back, Paul.
Okay, and today we've seen a lot of stocks up over 5% or even 10% across the board. Gold producers, major gold producers, intermediates, juniors, and the silver stocks as well. Are stocks finally starting to respond to the higher metals prices?
Yes. Yeah, today is a good day for price action across the board. I track about 150 names, own about 50, and everything is up. It's a really, really good day. But one day is one day, right? I think it's really too premature to call victory without hearing from Powell on September 18th. We need to see what he says because as a former lawyer, not economist, he's a pretty pragmatic guy and he's not going to be giving us as many hints as I think the economy or the market wants.
Now, we're at an investment conference. One of the things I'm hearing from a lot of the companies here is that despite the fact the gold price is $2,500 per ounce, there's not necessarily a lot of money available. When do you think, or under what circumstances do you think money will start actively coming back into the sector?
That is the $64,000 question. I hear from a lot of the meetings I've had here, over 20 meetings in 2 days, that we still see a cash-strapped situation for certain companies. It really depends on the company, right, in terms of how much capital they can raise. There are shareholders like me who tell them, hey, look, I own a big position in your stock. I don't want you to take $10 million down here as a junior. Your stock is crushed, right? Like, let's do it, with some thought behind it. Maybe think about doing some creative things with not only equity but debt. And so it's not so onerous for us as shareholders, right? Because we've already been diluted in so many of these names. And that's part of the reason why the junior market is underwater here and not catching up is that shareholders are tired of seeing 100 million shares out go to 300 million shares out and the project not getting any love for their drill results.
Okay. Now, you're taking your due diligence in the companies you may be interested in to another level. And by that I mean you're launching your own conference, you're hosting your own conference in Fort Lauderdale in October. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. I got into the space in April, but I've been going to conferences my whole career, as you have, and I think there's room for a conference that's more thoughtful about connecting investors and companies, right? This conference does a great job of that, Beaver Creek, because the one-on-one format I think really works. When you can spend a half hour with a CEO and ask the questions you want, it really helps to get a sense, right, of like where the project is headed. And I think investors need to do that more. I'm always an advocate for that. I've been saying since 2008, I've talked to all these guys on the phone and have a huge Rolodex of CEOs because I've been talking to them for 16 years and asking them pretty difficult questions sometimes about what the path is going forward so that we don't hold something that goes bankrupt, right? I mean, we had one stock out of all of our stocks in the last 2 years go bankrupt. So I'm proud of that because it's been difficult to navigate this market. But getting back to the conference, it's going to be 35 companies, investors from all over the world, but with a focus on U.S. investors. The format will be just networking and one-on-one. We're not doing booths. We're having very few presentations, but the presentations we do have are people like Don Durrett, who I do a show with every month, who doesn't do these conferences. He doesn't speak there, and he's sharing his methodology for gold and silver stock picks, which I think is going to be extremely helpful and worth the price of admission in itself.
Okay, let's talk about something that really can get a lot of excitement going, and that, of course, is M&A. Over the summer, we've started to see some interesting deals, some more deals, some high-value deals coming, kicked off by BHP and Philo, followed up with more recently with AngloGold Ashanti and Centamin. We've had Goldfields and Cisco Mining. We've had First Majestic Silver and Gato Silver. Is this opening of a new M&A cycle?
It is. Yep. Everyone I'm talking to here at the conference, whether I'm in a meeting or just walking around, has said that the majors are more serious about doing a JV or a deal right now than they ever have been. at previous conferences. So that's really, really positive. The Osisko deal I thought was pretty good for investors, right? I mean, because that was a nice premium. The Gatos deal, not so much. I mean, I wasn't a shareholder of either, in full disclosure, but I think we need to see that 25 to 50% premium as opposed to a 10 to 15% premium to really keep investors in the space, right? Like that's what I talk to CEOs about all the time. I mean, I realize that some of these deals are attractive and there's synergies between companies, but we have to think about the shareholder, and I don't think our sector does a great job of that. I think there's still a lot of lifestyle companies out there attending this conference and many other conferences, and that's not what my clients want to see. They want to see someone who says, hey, I have 10% of the float. Here's a transparent look at the next 1 to 6 months. We're going to have some problems, right? We want to hear bad news before we hear the good news. The good news we can find in a financial report or through their press releases, right?
It does seem there is an interesting sort of, let's say, bifurcation starting to happen. The gold producers, the margins are going up, so they're putting more cash on their balance sheet.
Right.
Whatever they do with it, how they dispose of that, is open to debate. But we're also seeing some share prices increase much more than others. We've seen some companies up 100% year to date, some companies up 50% year to date, some are up double digits and some are negative. So all those factors combined would suggest there's a lot of opportunity now. Those that are doing well are doing really well and are in a position to take advantage of that.
Yes, and on a day like today, this is one of the few days I've seen in the last few years where a rising tide has lifted pretty much all the ships, right? And that kind of action is what we saw in the spring of 2016, as well as in the spring of 2020. So 2020, when we had the COVID, bump coming out of the base there. So I think that this is really good price action. But again, I want to see what the Fed has to say the 18th before I get too excited.
Okay. Is there one M&A deal that you would like to see happen that you think is a no-brainer to happen? If you could put two companies together, well, who would they be?
I mean, I really think there's a lot of companies out there with 2.5 to 3.5 million ounces that are in the gold space that could get an offer from someone. But again, they're savvy CEOs who don't want to take a small premium because they work so hard to get here, right? I honestly think we've talked about this on your show before, but Cartier Resources, ECRFF, is sitting, with 2.5 million ounces of gold. They have relationships with O3 and Agnico, so they own 30% of the float collectively. I just think that they're going to get some type of deal done at some point because their drill results recently were really good, right? So when you have that many ounces in the ground, you're putting out good drill results, maybe not as fast as clients want or investors want, but still good. That seems to me to be like low-hanging fruit. And I think we're going to see a lot of companies approached like that.
We are at an investment conference, and one of the things that happens here, there's a lot of rumors, there's lots of gossip going around about who's doing what and with whom. Have you picked up on anything particular there?
I can't say. I have, but I can't say, and I won't be trading those stocks.
Okay, well, it's interesting you mentioned Cartier because there's companies not too far away in that district who I've been hearing things
right?
about as well, yes. Okay, how do you think the rest of the year is going to play out for the sort of junior gold space?
Yeah, I think we're turning the corner right now. We just need the Fed to play ball, right? We just need them to give us some type of dovish behavior, September 18th, to give us a path for November or December in Q1. Like, we would love to see that, and we would be much bigger buyers if we saw that, because I think most of the bad news for gold stocks is out of the way. I mean, the gold price is cranking, and the train's leaving the station. So we have been focusing more so on silver, Paul, than we have been gold just recently, because the gold to silver ratio, which is the price of gold divided by the price of silver, got to 89 to 90 here just last week. And whenever it touches 90, it's usually a buy for silver and silver equities. So we've been spending our time buying more silver physical and as well some silver juniors that look just completely out of favor here.
Well, the silver price is knocking on the door of $30 per ounce again, and I think pretty much every silver company is up 5 or 10% today.
Yes.
Almost without exception.
Yeah, look at SILJ. That's the barometer, that's the ETF for the small to mid-cap silver stocks. I think it's up like 7% here, and that's very encouraging. One stock that's in all three of the major silver ETFs is Pan American, PAAS. It's actually a top 3 holding in all three. So we've been buying that because when you see silver go above 30, above 32.50 and break out, a stock like that will get a lot of flow through the ETFs.
Okay. Well, John, thank you very much for joining us today. Good luck with your conference.
Thanks so much, Paul.
And we have a lot more to come from the Precious Metals Summit here in Beaver Creek, Colorado. So hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Precious Metals Summit is brought to you by Nucor Gold.